Welcome back to DreamHack Open November. We've got ourselves the losers bracket match of Group B, and I'm here to guide you through the action. I'm on Tea Time Sabri. Feels kind of odd introducing myself with like the full name, but as always, I'm gonna give my wrestler's intro to my right-hand side man. It's Michael Yumi Cassidy, and we're sponsored. I'm also gonna get the sponsors in first, Michael. Don't be blown away too much by that just yet, because we've also got some people who are more important than us who I've got to give a quick shout out to. Of course, actually, you know what, Michael? Why don't you have a word? I'll let you get a word in. How are you doing, Michael?
Well, I'm confused. You're
Michael,
really
are you
janking me
doing well,
around here.
Michael?
Yeah. I'm doing great. I mean, I know we've got another best of 3 to go, so I'm really ready and rearing to go. We've seen a couple bits of action. We know which teams we have, of course. I'm sure you'll introduce them later on. I thought you were gonna get me to introduce myself. By the way, you were like, "Feels awkward to introduce myself." I thought you were just gonna throw me under the bus and be like, "Now you
No,
introduce
I
yourself."
got you, Michael. I got you, Michael. I also got the sponsors that are actually helping us put up this lovely show. It's Intel, MSI, Corsair, Monster, and DTS. Never forget. But now we can't forget the teams that we've got on our hands as well. It's Illuminar facing off versus KOVA to see who gets eliminated, who gets kicked out last place at this DreamHack Open. Michael, I'm on the fence about these teams. Both of them have shown plenty of weaknesses, but also a couple of strengths. What way are you swinging?
Yeah, there've been some poor playing. There's been some poor performances, rather, but some promise, I think, is what's been offered up by both these teams. I want to say it's Illuminar, right? You've got that experience, a core that seemed to have carried over from the old VP, and then I don't know. We saw so many fantastic clutches and great stuff from KOVA individually. Even their team play, I think, was actually on par, if not better, than the
Yep.
likes of Illuminar. It just depends on whether that spans their entire map pool. I'm on the fence, just like you.
Well, listen, I'm not on the fence at all, actually. I was on the fence until I looked at the veto, which we have now, so I'm going to quickly announce that. KOVA banned out Mirage, no surprises that Illuminar takes away Inferno as well. KOVA proceeds to pick Nuke, a map that both teams are actually decent on. That's also, for me, the most competitive map coming into it. Illuminar then take Overpass up for themselves. Dustu's banned by KOVA, Vertigo banned by Illuminar in the Deciders train. This would have been an incredibly confusing map and overall matchup if KOVA had let Mirage through for me. But the fact that KOVA actually bans Mirage out and lets Illuminar pick Overpass, which Illuminar is quite comfortable on, and KOVA has a beep boop beep 0% win rate on it, not quite ideal. So for me, this opens up some significant 2-0 possibilities for Illuminar's side, but of course, if it goes to 3, Train's much more of a coin flip than anything else I've seen so far.
Yeah, I think if it comes down to it, when you go pound for pound, I think the teams actually match up fairly well. Obviously, we won't get to see until the server we're in the server because, I mean, Gambit a very
Well,
different beast, and
well,
Namiga
I
a
mean,
very
you're
different
talking about
beast.
the server, Michael. Why don't we head right into it, and then you can talk about Beast all you want.
Well, let's see how it all gets on. Illuminar starting on the CT side. They do not have a kit, just a singular nade on Veggie. And ooh, it's going to be a quick door smoke, a quick smoke from door rather towards Mini, which will isolate Reeds. And they're preparing for a bit of a bop towards this A site.
Snacks though to start, but he can't find the kills. Spargo gets 2. Veggie trying to fight back, but he's been forced back instead. There's no kid on any of these CT players, and Veggie needs the headshots, but he can't find them. And with that, Illuminar would probably be a wiser decision than not to just save these 2 players. And they're Kevlar.
Yeah, what a great way to start here for KOVA. The singular flash in, I don't think it actually accomplishes as much as they were hoping for, but just the sharp entries. Again, because they didn't have utility, they didn't have a kit, they don't have maybe flashes for a retake, the feasibility after those initial players go down of getting a retake underway, really never there for Illuminar. So KOVA can feel good about how this one has started out. Sometimes we look at the T-side pistol as a bit of a win condition for the half and just creating that little buffer. Good start. I think
And
that's
look,
really what you have to come into this with if you are in the camp of KOVA, if you are expecting them to maybe upset in this particular manner, because I think like most people, they won't have too much information about KOVA, whereas Illuminar are a little bit more active in the scene, so more eyes have been on them.
Well, KOVA still has 10 maps played on this. They have a 60% win rate. So there's some data, there's some footage to look across. But one thing I have to quickly note about that pistol round is the fact that Veggie actually dropped a 5-7 for Snax. Snax did not buy that for himself. And even so, he's not able to get any kills whatsoever. And that's not something you're really entirely happy about if you're Veggie or if you're Snax for that matter. Illuminar, the flashbang the way the flashbang really helps KOVA is not just because, hey, they blinded. It's because they don't have to check a few more angles and they can tunnel vision in on those entries, and that's what Sparko does beautifully. Now it's all about Mouse though, as he's missed a shot, but a nade might be doing some good damage, and indeed it does, but the follow-up not present.
Yeah, quickly making their way towards this lower side. Ooh, reads Molotov'd out, so the SMG does find him on a bit of a retreat. This B-bomb site has been taken. Fully under KOVA control. I don't think Illuminar will realistically try and go for this one. Again, set up for a bit of a save, see if they can maybe take one of these rifles into the follow-up round. You know, hedge their bets between this round and next, but with Veggie going down, that may be a little bit too much lost. I mean, ideally, Veggie gets a weapon. He could drop the Deagle over. You know, these upgraded pistols can be a bit of a factor. They're not even going to have that. KOVA, 2 clean rounds. I mean, they did lose 1 at the end of the pistol, but those are trades you're happy to make.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And this is now setting up for the second win condition that you have at the terrorist side, which is just turning it into a battle of persistence, into a battle of, hey, I'm going to be able to always have a threat against you because of the way I solidified my economy early on. So you're perpetually going to be in a place where the CT economy cannot be unshaken and can't really be built up. That's one of the rough things about Nuke. To actually build up the CT economy, you need to first get a few rounds where they're sort of freer rounds. You know, there's a half buy or something on those lines. But PHR, there's no free rounds here for the terrorists here. Fighting back, they get 3, and it's the eco that sets them up for victory. And that setup leaves Sparko alone to fend for himself, and the wolves have bitten into his throat. Illuminar, well, that's that. Win condition dismantled.
Yeah, and I like that you touched upon the pistol round flashbang. I was saying it was kind of useless, but that is actually a scenario where having that flash would be very beneficial. You wouldn't have to worry so much about that sightline peering in from the top of the silos. Instead, they walk into the FAMAS, and it's actually one of those rifles that was saved over for Illuminar that makes them all that difference. It creates space for the pistols.
Indeed. I love it when you make me sound smarter than I am, Michael. Thank you. Great nade. Oh, wow. That's a big, juicy burger of a nade right there. But it's Snax who's now looking to follow up on it. The question is, can he actually find sight lines? Because these KOVA players seem to have already gone past him inside Garage. And that'll be it. Piku takes away his life. Veggie comes in to try and maybe scout out, try and trade, look for someone, but as he locates the T-side players, he cannot follow up and finish off.
Yeah, this is the Illuminar, or rather the KOVA map pick. That's why Illuminar got the choice of sides. So maybe a bit of unfamiliarity with just what the options could be available for the CT side, because look how rapidly they've crumbled. Even with all of that early damage dealt to KOVA, it hasn't helped them in any of their duels.
Yep. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that Snax is not in position to prevent any sort of a garage play. No one's there in lockers to actually support him, Michael. So you have to start asking yourself, okay, when they go for these separate, and as I say that, there's actually a little bit more action going on than I thought there would be. A few kills found by Mouse, Veggie left alone, and this has to be a save at this point. But as I was saying, if you're expecting the typical walk into secret, that shouldn't be what you're thinking of when you see the OG smokes being lined up. That's a very different smoke set. It opens up for a lot more possibilities. So Snax, unfortunately, caught off guard and can't really follow up onto any of the tagged players. Because for me, I mean, the second I see the nade, I'm thinking, yeah, this scout's ready for a 4K.
Yeah, it just becomes a far more mobile AWP at that point, right? Just because he doesn't have to finish off those kills. KOVA starting off very well on this T side. Considering how poorly I thought it started, all that pressure that could have been applied towards those players outside, it does come down to, I think, a bit of ill recognition from Illuminar. So maybe they're not quite as familiar, having not dealt with maybe those particular outside smokes too heavily. They just didn't seem to even have that in the back of their mind. We had Snacks turn around, but it was far too late.
Pietola. Just making sure there's no one getting aggressive towards red early on, but Illuminar, of course, are going to be buying up in this round. They've got the MP9 on PHR. I'd love to see where exactly it's positioned, actually. I think it might be towards lore. Close. Good spray as well. Veggie is taken down. Twixie's got 2. And now PHR has to step up. That's the MP9 we were searching for. And he is searching for some kills. Finding them as well. Leaves Twixie alone. And alone he will fall.
It's these faster plays towards the A site that don't seem to be working here for KOVA. The quick collapse and Illuminar actually come out ahead in the trades. Sure, only a couple players stay alive, but these haven't been the most firmly set rounds here from that CT side. So getting a win like that, look at the utility that they bring into this round. Full nade sets that can mitigate this early pressure. And I think this is where we start to see CT sides typically get a bit more of a ball roll and get that economy a bit more healthy. Especially because it's just pistols here for KOVA. They are making a decent amount of progress outside, and Reach is on the other side of a smoke. So actually not spotting out Yuli. Oh, getting dinked down. That is dangerous. Reach to low HP, and there's nowhere he can run.
Well, Reeds might not need to run. He's actually got some teammates behind him. But Reeds, he's running. It's not in the direction where we thought he would be. A little bit quick on his feet, put it that way. Reeds, though. Flashbang comes over. Reeds is moving forward. Reeds is finally taken down. And Twixie's got 2. That's his teammate behind him. Also put down to rest for a little while longer. Now the CTs, they might be finding themselves stuck in a cycle of win around, lose around, win around, lose around. And at the end of it all, on Nuke, that is a winning formula for the terrorist side. Especially if KOVA are doing it with basically just deagles. Now, PHR, he could be the big difference maker. He's coming in from behind. The lurk should be successful. And with an MP9 on unarmored opponents, no less, that's just money waiting to be made. Still, a very, very close situation.
Perfectly timed as well from PHR. They were just beginning to mount the cross, and Mouse was going to be in a really difficult position to cut them off, prevent them from potentially getting down towards Secret, where KOVA were setting their sights. Couldn't have come at a more convenient time, but that's a very expensive round given that it's just pistols. So I talk about that being a moneymaker round. It's anything but. Down to just a deagle is Snacks.
And that's also strange considering Mouse actually has enough money to be able to drop a Famas if he wanted to, but Snacks opts for that deagle. Again, it's all about positioning. The Eagles, of course, can be incredibly deadly, even more so than a Farmer Scan at low range, where a double body shot will guarantee you a kill faster than a Farmer Scan. Reeds, though, what a lineup! Spargo and Uli are even nicely spaced. They could have actually overwhelmed him, but they don't look around in time, and now Pietola has to step up. We've seen him clutch time and time again, but as he moves backwards to recover the bomb, he's caught off. PHR comes in, and Mini is his territory, and outside is his yard. Maybe that's why they called it yard back in the day.
Get out of my yard, you stupid kid.
Michael is cosplaying what all of us will be like in about
in about
20 years.
I mean, I'm probably a little closer, like 15, probably.
Michael, Michael, really?
That's when I expect my midlife crisis to go through. Just about
5. We're living esports here, Michael, but Twixie is killing them very quickly. Somehow, Piku will take matters slightly more into his own hand than maybe he should have, as he will kill his teammate and very soon after be brought down. He started the round, just wanted it to be over. At
the very least, it had to have been a crisp shot, but just the complete wrong direction. A big turnaround here for Illuminar, getting some great, much better production from their outside players, even if it is coming at a heavy cost. KOVA, they've been trumped now pushing towards the A site a couple of times. They've been shut down on the outside progress, so by process of elimination, you have to start investigating ramp as a territory, maybe the vents as well.
Maybe not ramp. Mouse is just waiting there. He's
Yeah,
opened up shop
pistols.
and yeah, listen. When you open up a butcher's shop, that's when you gotta get the easy meat first. You know, then you start going for the big game. But Piatola, he is waiting to see if he can find anything with a P250. The one thing I will say about KOVA's game plan, which is slightly worrying, is their hot pushes haven't actually been entirely unsuccessful, Michael. The last time they went for one, they actually found 2 kills early on, and then they went through. As Piatola flashes out, he will fall. But the problem is actually their botting is actually slightly questionable. So they're not able to clear out PHR consistently in a couple of different angles, and that's worrying to me because KOVA's played this map a lot. So if your botting isn't certain for your entry players for an A hot hit, I'm worried.
Yeah, and how many of their games have come down to bigger clutches or...
Yeah.
Because we know they have that capability, but typically when you don't iron those sort of details out, it does feel like it hinges a bit more on some individuals to step up.
Indeed.
We'll have to see. I was sort of questioning the Illuminar setups, how prepared they were for some of these more execute style takes here from KOVA to start things off. So maybe there's questions to be answered on both sides. Illuminar have been doing a much better job when it has been KOVA just trying to run out and overwhelm them. So maybe going back to more strategic approaches could be the play, but Snacks looking to be disruptive outside, above the smoke. So much damage done to start things off. KOVA already weakened up on one of their players, and oh, Snacks, just that gap. The smoke's not lining up properly here for KOVA, so Yuli, that's a free frag.
Great awareness from Snacks to recognize that, but Mao's, Molotov timing is great. Grenade as well to follow through. Maybe a little bit premature, but even so, we'll keep them at bay alongside that smoke. Now, the real question you have to be asking yourself if you're KOVA is, we've got no outside control, Ramp's been smoked off and mollied off, and there's Mouse on the other side, who did sort of traumatize us, even if it is an eco. Where do we go? And if it's a hot push, then the question is, who's going to be throwing the flashbang from outside? Because they need that at this stage. We've got to keep an eye out on KOVA. Looks like they want to be going through. Piku gets one. PHR goes down. And now comes out that quick vent dive. That's the name of the game. But Riaz has got the board and he's broken it in half. Piatola and Spargo left. And now it's just Spargo. 1 versus 3. Clutch machine he may be. But today it will not start. Illuminar take the 6th.
Fantastic position to deal with KOVA. Dropping down the vents, and it is kind of a process of elimination. Like we were sort of saying earlier, they tried outside, they tried the A-bomb site, the vents, ramp, those start to be options you maybe explore. KOVA dived down the vents and into Ritz's loving arms. Fantastic position to be able to hold things down there for Illuminar and KOVA. You can understand a timeout called just to reconsider things. Maybe this, I mean, they come into this with their own map pick. They started off with the pistol, and since then, the subsidiary rounds after the fact, Illuminar have been picking them up.
Especially considering there's been a few rounds Illuminar did not, quote-unquote, deserve, that they did, of course, manage to find. And this is just a testament to how comfortable Illuminar are on Nuke. This is also why I didn't want to necessarily see Nuke being the first pickup. I would have loved to see a slightly more puggy map, perhaps like Dust 2 or so, but even so, we'll have to wait to test KOVA's shops for a while longer. I think the big question mark for me right now is, what does KOVA need to get on this T side? What do you feel like? Because for me, I have to say, I can't even say 10-5 is an acceptable scoreline. It has to be 9-6.
Yeah. I'd say 6 or 7 is healthy enough for KOVA. I have some trust in their CT side setups. At least you'd hope so. But of course, just pistols pro into this round, upgraded ones at that. And while Spargo gets one with the Deagle, Don't think he's going to be allowed to plant. Yeah, Snacks tracking him down. It's Piatola trying to be disruptive, finding these backstab, and he gets nothing for his trouble. So only one casualty. Nice, healthy buffer built up for Illuminar. They're hovering 10k plus on a couple players, feeling good about themselves. KOVA, maybe are they down and out? Will they bounce back? That remains to be seen. Round 11 has everything we could ask for. The AWP out for Spargo as well.
The question is, where will Spargo be positioning? Now, I find it really interesting that Snacks isn't going for an offer of his own, even though he has so much money. Snacks, however, is so aggressive. He wants to get up close and personal. This is the nice thing about having a veteran star player. There's no one to tell him you can't do something. So when he's feeling it on the CT side, you know he's going to be going in. It can be a poison chalice. Sometimes it works against you, but it looks like this is one of those maps where Snacks feeling it and saying, I do what I want to, is probably a good idea. Ooh. Now, early smokes deployed by the CTs. They've only got one left. Mouse is wielding that. And the question is, KOVA have got plenty of utility. Can they actually exploit it? If they start to go in towards the quick hutch hit, that would be somewhat ignoring that, but they have carved a pathway out into secret. Snacks doesn't realize how many players there are. He almost lined it up, but not quite.
And it feels like KOVA are trying to cobble something together. They throw the smokes outside, the flashes are a little delayed, it's weirder timings. PHR fully blinded up, and nobody clears him, they line up! And while Piatola does trade, they are in the vents and ready to go, ready to collapse on this A site. It's just Yuli. He's all that's left. That A side pincer from KOVA doesn't work at all. And it all goes down to that uncleared position. Nobody looking in front, everybody looking towards the site. Yuli trying to bring things back though. A 1-on-3 that's now made 2, but time's against him. Veggie and Mouse know it. Not peeking from the sites, ready in any positions to trade. Yuli committing to 1, but unable to find the necessary kill. What a shutdown from Illuminar.
PHR is able to get those 2 kills in such a strange manner, where I have to go back to my earlier point, Michael, which is that I see too many instances of bad pathing, and to me what this sort of looks like is, this is very reminiscent of back in the day in some of my teams, where if we had stopped practicing a map for a while to learn a new one, and we just assumed, yeah, we're going to be fine on Nuke, and then we went in and then suddenly everyone's sort of rusty because we haven't done dry runs, and you almost have it right, but one person's just not looking at the right angle, one person's just not looking the right way, and now you're bickering amongst each other. Oh, you're supposed to look at it, you're supposed to look at it, check the Google Doc, check the Google Doc. You know, this is what it seems like to me. KOVA, they're running the motions, but the motions are just wrong sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, that's an elementary decision that just, it's a mistake that just can't happen at a point like this, where you need to be able to turn a gun round around. Look towards the site, you know, look towards the rafters. There should be a checklist for each of the players, but like you said, maybe just a mix-up of the wiring, 2 people doing the same job.
Question is anyone going to be able to kickstart KOVA's stuff for them? KOVA spam down as they're getting into the vents as well, so already a half-buy round with very little success to be found. Mouse will fall, yes, but not after he's gotten another kill of his own and found information plus stealth damage. So although bronze once planted, the T side was always going to have a buy, and with Rietz finding the lurker on outside, it seems like the expected casualties inflicted on the CT side will not be too many, but hold that thought. Uli and Sparko have found guns, and Uli has armor. So suddenly, a little bit more dicey. Snacks and PHR need to move in. Snacks has an AWP. It's one of the first times he's actually wielding one. And it's on a retake. Not ideal, but he wants to make it work. PHR, good for 1. Do they realize a second is there? PHR gets 2, and a 4K is what takes them home. 9 rounds on the board for Illuminar, and although it gets close, it is still a W for Illuminar. Also, that's 8 in a row, dude.
Yeah. The early back and forth, and then just non-stop CT rounds. And some of these have been closer. Like you've been saying, I mean, it's been like 2 players staying alive for Illuminar. KOVA have gotten close, especially on these pistol rounds. But it's always that one element too short. And maybe a player dives for free. Illuminar get a nice opening each time. These small facets certainly start to add up. KOVA, though, trying to make some progress towards outside. They beat past the sightline of Snacks, who's holding a little bit deeper. A surprise play from Mini is certainly a possibility. Reed's holding it, but Spargo finding the entry, the double one at that, but Veggie responds in kind, a double in his own right. Still, a quick collapse on its A site that Illuminar come out the worst side of. Now only Mouse in a 1-on-3.
And Mouse doesn't want to let them have that chance to take it as 6. That's the golden number that they're looking for. Mouse has a kit, no utility but full HP, and if he can just locate Twixie, that'll be huge. Twixie, however, is playing this incredibly smartly as he's playing off of his teammate, letting him take the peek, letting him bait out shots. But now, question is, can Mouse find it? No, he can't. That's a right-hand view model issue. And that's actually such an important angle that Twixie takes. A lot of players don't even realize why that's good. It's because most players, I'd say 99% of Counter-Strike players, are actually having a right-hand view model. This is one of the reasons why Steel in particular was a big advocate for having a bind to switch over to your left hand, because in a situation like that, you just can't see anything. And if he had a left-hand view model, he sees Twixie first at 3 HP. That's a whisper he sends over and Twixie's dead.
Yeah, I am a big advocate for that as well. It's because you're missing out on information on a side where you lose nothing by switching hands over, I guess, other than invisible muscle memory or like mental muscle memory, because sometimes that can be enough to throw people off, which is also a strange phenomenon. But
like when StarCraft pros used to measure their screens before they actually got into a game. I can believe that CS pros get thrown off by what hand is the gun. And
oh yeah, just different crosshairs, different resolutions.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
comfort.
He's pretty comfortable on top of the marshmallow. I've always wanted to sit on a marshmallow. Like a big one, not a small one.
That sounds unhygienic.
Well, KOVA's playing some dirty Counter-Strike, but they're making it work, so why not? Now Molotov goes out to its secret. Snacks is positioning. Oh.
He's mischievous.
Yep. He's got all of the info as in the world. And he's peeked out, but Spargo expected it. Veggie now waits, and he's got one, but the second evades him. Mouse and PHR stuck in a hard place, and PHR in the reload can't make it work. 5th round on the board for KOVA, one step closer to the golden 6.
Yeah, you said 10-5, maybe not enough. And the potential for that 6th round, like you said, the magic behind it, is certainly a possibility. Look at the buy here for Illuminar. A series of SMGs, both categories of M4. And while Miles, he's been delegated to a position where he doesn't have utility, only has the worst of the weaponry. And again, KOVA will move outside. They've been getting the better end of these sort of early spam and nade set battles that have typically been going Illuminar's way. And because of the lack of proper weaponry, Illuminar don't challenge outside. Instead, they've crunched towards lobby, they've taken control away, and while there is a player in position in Twixie, they can eventually trade that out and get the information that KOVA are on B.
Well, Uli's already here, though, and they've completely scaled upwards, so this bomb plant becomes all the easier. Mouse wants to push in, but the smoke will prevent him. Nade back does do some good damage and brings Uli into vulnerable territory, but you can't say the same about his teammates, who are all sitting healthy. Good Molotov. It'll be giving Snacks a little bit more of an idea of where they are, but Spargo, with the door open in his favor, will take down Snacks, and with that, it's a 3v4. Utility's getting lower and lower, and PHR has come through to compensate. That nade will at least allow him to peek in, I believe, but Spargo's too fast. KOVA's got 6, and now it's time to see whether Illuminar can close out with just 9. We'll be back after a short break. Don't go anywhere. And we're back with the second half. Illuminar may have the lead, but let's not make any mistakes about it. KOVA are no strangers to being down 9-6 and then bringing it all the way back. We already saw that on Vertigo earlier on. The question is this going to be replicated? Piku waits for them to come in. Can't quite land the shots, but at least he gets the information without falling. The problem is they don't actually have a kit. Spargo saved $800 on himself. Trying to guarantee an op earlier on. Pietola peeking in, going forward, gets that beautiful tap and goes for more, but can't just score. Reeds still going forward. Spargo gets one, sure. But it's a 3v2 now. Piku's the one to bring it in their favor. Piku and Twixie all fighting, all fragging. And it's 1-1-1, and KOVA at 7.
Yeah, they win both pistols so far this map. And it comes down to some really crisp shots. Spargo, he had that 4K earlier in the day. We saw it against, oh my god, Namiga. Really having to call back. My goldfish brain didn't recall the name very quickly. But he was able to get a substantial amount of work done. That flank, of course, finally realized for KOVA as they crunched from instead that ramp position. And I mean, Illuminar, they had that really big bounce back on that CT side, but KOVA are going to start in the good phases.
What a nade, what a nade. And now it's the exact same situation they were in before, but now it's all gone the way of the CTs. The farmers are on top of the bomb silos. Michael, it's unstoppable.
Yeah, that seems to be the strat. Illuminar had a round like it. That was on when KOVA were actually had decent weaponry all the way through. Illuminar fully forced up into that, so they had head armor and the sword. But like you said, the nade
they didn't force up in that. They literally had a farmers and one gun saved over from their previous force by which they lost. And everyone else was in an eco. Yeah.
Oh, so. Right. Yes. No. I mean, I'll talk about the round that we just watched.
I'm sorry. I'm bad.
Contextualizing that one. I'm saying Illuminar. Yeah. You get the point. Anyway.
Well, point is that now it's time for Twixie to make money. Okay. At least he hopes so. That would be quite funny. Well, yeah, that's the Mac 10. This is more like I don't know what it is. I'd have to think of a new name for the MP9 as well eventually.
Yeah, but it's not quite as iconic. The Mac 10 has icon value.
The Mac 10 has been around for a lot longer than the MP9 has. The MP9 was also like, you know, the UMP was there before and all that good stuff. I guess if I had to give the MP9 anything, it would probably be the cash counter because so. Yeah. Pietola, though, he's going and he's finishing off a couple of players on his own. Snacks is left. They do find a couple of kills on the terrorist side. Snacks is searching for more. He lines up his crosshair, but that is a problem with the Deagle landing inaccuracy. Yeah. And can't quite finish it off.
If you could jump into shots with the Deagle, that would be upsetting. You get something.
A lot of things about the Deagle upset me, okay?
Yeah, they had the good jumping accuracy for a while. I think that got
crazy. Yeah.
Fortunately.
Nutty.
Anyway, jumping aside, we've got a proper gun round here from Illuminar. The AWP out on Snacks, full utility on that T side as well. So there are options that they can explore. They can pressure outside. They can try and force the ramp player back. Just how much of this is within the strat book of Illuminar? Do they have those same sort of deep outside smokes that caught Illuminar out on their CT side? Is that in their arsenal? Maybe they don't need to. Forward face from Reeds, almost taking down Twixie. That could have been an advantage found, but Yuli able to compensate.
And Yuli, he's done more than just compensate. He's got himself inside the vent, which makes it so difficult for Illuminar to do anything. More and more we're seeing that this position or inside the vent itself, even if you're on the side, it's fine. But actually, hold that thought. Pietola is actually lining up a nade, and that's a respectable one at least. But now he'll be backing off with the flashbang at the ready. 55 seconds on the clock, and he knows this is when pressure will start to come in. Mao's coming back into his old stomping grounds, but how can he really fare on the terrorist side of things? KOVA have so far been very impressive on their CT side, finding advantages time and time again, and even coming back from a disadvantage on their pistol round. But Pietola back down to the bomb site. But yeah, so this is where I'm going to be very curious to see how Illuminar decides to change things up, because one thing we saw, which allowed Amiga to stop KOVA from having an overwhelming amount of momentum moving forward, was that Amiga did change things up at times. Amiga did, have Jo to get aggressive. Amiga did have a player to just run into them and make something work. Question is, who does that over here on the T side for Illuminar? Because there's 8 seconds left and they can't get a bomb plant. They have to go in. Snacks will try to get a plant through, but yeah, there's pretty much no chance. Or is there? That's the question. What's going on here? Snacks.
Oh my goodness. What a crucial kill. Mouse
might have been allowed
Piatola.
Yeah, and that might have been what actually allows it all. Snacks is waiting. Mouse isn't being spammed up. Illuminar, they have a chance here. Snacks is zoned in at the right angle, gets the shot, perfectly done, and although trades come in, he knows where the second is. There's a Molotov at his feet, and it forces him out. Spargo can finish him off with a USB and does have time to be able to get the bomb defused, but that was very close.
So close. Piatola could have almost shut down the round single-handedly, but Mal's there to cover, opening and activating that Illuminar play towards that lower site. Time was of the essence. That bomb hits the floor, and suddenly KOVA would have won the round by default, but keeping them in that situation, Snacks almost pulling that out in the clutches of defeat, but comes down to the two AWPers. Spargo, 22 kills. Next highest in the server is Mal's. They've really been going blow for blow. In fact, I think the scorelines are fairly equivalent to one another. There seems to be competition on either side, but harder to pinpoint exact rivalries. Good stuff from KOVA, keeping themselves in an advantage to start off the CT side, keeping that ball rolling. Illuminar going to actually invest into this one. Just a fair amount. They are priming up for a quick collapse on the A side. Mal's in a great position to line up utility. The Molotov up top, and they're looking to make this one quick. The MAC-10s, they'll try and close the distance. So far, so good from Piku, though, staying alive in this position. Twixie able to get one of his own, but they're going blow for blow. The AWP of Spargo moving into the site, but they find kills simultaneously. KOVA do shut it down. It is a bit chaotic, and Illuminar tried to capitalize on that. Tried to make KOVA uncomfortable, but still able to come out with a decent amount of healthy players. 3 players kept up for that CT side. Illuminar reinvest.
And this is where I have to say, you remember when I said it's so good to have a veteran star player who's really popping off? Unfortunately, now you have a veteran star player who's really not popping off. Snacks is at the bottom of pretty much every table there is. He's got only 7 kills. My only question is, when do we start to see him putting up some numbers? Because he should be the difference maker. Riyadz finds one. That's Twixie to fall. 5 versus 4. And for the first time in forever, it seems like they've gotten their first advantage. The problem is Mouse can't actually retreat over here without exposing himself, as Piatola looks like he's getting maybe a little bit antsy in his position. If both Piatola and the AWP decide to move forward, Mouse could be caught off in a terrible timing, but he's holding the angle and it still falls.
He seems so prepared for that fight. How has that gone against him? Snacks, though, finding a kill with that AWP does keep that advantage in Illuminar's favor. But how quickly Piatola strikes back. I think that's the bomb spotted out as well for KOVA. Reitz will be hard-pressed to keep control of that position. 45 seconds left. Piatola constantly applying pressure from behind. They have to funnel towards lobby, and Peku's on the other side of it as well. They actually think they're made their way out into the bomb site, but they are right behind them.
Reitz has to find someone over here to be able to pick up the bomb, but no one's revealing themselves. Finally, Reitz has an opportunity, even tries to go for the spray transfer. He has the right idea, but he peeks out as Spargo scoped in. Piku now has the position, has the bomb, has the time, but not the shot. Illuminar get themselves their first terrorist side round, but it's off the back of Riyadz getting a 4K, including some pretty crazy frags.
Oh my goodness, that was such an awkward mid-round. They were both inches from each other. The smoke down. Rietz had to bail them out. He had to be the one that found those frags because, I mean, you look at Snacks, he wasn't in a great position to really deal with it. That was so awkward. And you could see KOVA were a little bit unsure as to how to play that one. They had the AWP peering in. They were trying to take those fights individually, and there just wasn't enough of a concerted effort to deal with the players that Illuminar had in close proximity. And that's broken bank for KOVA now, so they're on pistols.
And the problem is, if you're KOVA, you're also thinking back to, again, Vertigo versus Namiga. This is a very similar situation where an 11-11 equalization looks to be imminent. And Illuminar, look, this is where you have players to rally around. You have the fact that Mouse is doing incredibly well. Mouse is sitting on 20+ kills. Veggie now comes in from the side. He picks up 1 kill. Veggie's not been doing fantastically. He's actually right down there with Snacks, but if he can start picking up a little bit, PHR and Mouse are already rocking it, and we've seen that Rietz is also come here to play. So Illuminar, it really is just a shake and a jump, and that'll get them to a very difficult place for KOVA to follow. Now, again, KOVA is on the CT side of Nuke, so you can never really count them out, and I wouldn't count them out even otherwise at 11-11, but the psychological effect that it's going to have is something that has to be mentioned at the very least.
Ooh, almost able to get the bomb down while Yuli spamming away at Reitz. There was going to be a player in position for Illuminar to answer back, so no real surprises to be had. Fixie though, okay, rattling off shots with the USB. They're not able to hit him. Okay, finally. Found. Peku just to save the AK. It is a 1 round and an equalizer at that for Illuminar. And this calls into question, like you said, the psychological aspect of it for KOVA. They started decent at the start of their pistol. After the pistol round, they got a couple of rounds after the fact. You know, they get close in a gun round. They almost overturn a pistol. And then suddenly Illuminar get all these rounds in a row. And maybe that could happen on the T side. I'm not saying it's as easy to do, but whether it is a mental block or just Illuminar really stepping up in performance, that is something that could, of course, still play out. Illuminar isn't their map pick, but they are showing that they are more than capable to take the fights.
Yeah, and even now you can see KOVA's, the big differentiating factor they have is Spargo. Spargo's huge on this team right now. And I'm so excited for this guy, for what this guy does and where he goes. PHR is going straight in. Piatola will fall. And with that, it's a 5v4, and you've lost arguably your best clutch player. Not a good sight. And PHR isn't done yet. He's just moving forward for more and more. Flashback goes out, forces back the CT. Trixie is waiting for them to peek in, but they've already found 1, and Trixie with 2 can't make it favorable, but he can make it doable.
Almost got all 3 on the spray transfer, just lining up the spray, as they all peeked in 1 by 1. Still, man advantage held here for Illuminar. Spargo trying to make his way down, but I mean, they're just setting up to save. KOVA recognizing that they are a man down. Spargo's the other side. Peku's still peeking in. I don't know if that's a communications breakdown or Peku is just trying his luck, but either way, another round.
Peku's trying to see if he can get a quick headshot in and then fade away. The CT economy is going to be at a place where it's too fragile to buy regardless, unless they want to force buy around this. But yeah, another round and another step closer. Yeah, I agree with that at least. But anyhow, another round and another step closer to where a place where you have to ask some questions about the mental of KOVA.
Will it require another Deagle half-buy ace from Yuli for KOVA to recover? Is that what's necessary? Because, I mean, Illuminar, they're a fast-paced team in towards this A site. 1-for-1 exchange. Spargo getting it production on the AWP. Peku as well. That saved AK holding a lot of value, and it's just Veggie. A 1-on-4 that he's not going to get too much success in the initial duel. Veggie low HP, the Molotov forcing him forward, and they overturn it. Of course, it's just the saved weapons, the pistols, they come to play, and that's a one round that stems off of those saved weapons for KOVA.
That's a very disappointing round. Honestly, it's such a disappointing round from Illuminar. They don't go through the checklist. They don't respect the fact that there's 2 saved rifles and one of them is an AWP in Spargo's hands. You've got to realize if there's an AK and an AWP and you're going for a full A-side hit, make it a proper execute. Make it a G2 style execute where you're smoking off heavens, where you're getting a molly back behind the bomb train batteries, where you're getting a molly into the CT vents, but unless you're doing that, you're just going to be absolutely ravaged. At the end of the day, Hut and Squeaky are both incredibly slim choke points. That's one of the reasons why up against eco rounds, what you'll often see teams try to do is they'll send a player to go for the good old ROP spots where you, slide across the top of mini, and you try to come in from there as well, make it so the AWPer on Heaven can't have as easy of a time. But no. Instead, Illuminar go for a much more rudimentary push, and they just can't make it work. And I'm not too surprised about that one. But I'm sure they're kicking themselves after that. That's probably why the timeout was called.
And that's back-to-back calls where they've gone almost disrespectful, right? They pushed through the ramp smoke around a couple rounds ago.
Yeah, but it's also a difference of the CT buy, where, I don't know, maybe they misread the CT buy. Maybe they thought it's a full buy, but even so.
Well, it certainly opened up an opportunity here for KOVA. It's just pistols here for Illuminar, but they do have a pretty major stake on this B bomb site now. Already crept their way down those secret tunnels. Peku holding for potential immersion from the vents. Illuminar just wait for KOVA to respond.
This is such a strong angle as well if you are faced off versus a player coming out of vents. Vents is one of the few places where you can't even get the fancy ladder movement going because of the narrow nature of it. Of course, now at 28 seconds on the clock, it's time for the T's to commit, but it seems like they might be slightly commitment phobic as they're waiting. 20 seconds, it's going tick-tock. Guys, you've got to get a bomb plant in. Piatola is keeping an eye out on glass, and as he sees the double doors open, drops the bomb and isn't dropped himself, keeps fighting, and at the end of it all, it's only 1 kill that the terrorist side finds.
It's okay, Illuminar. I too am scared of commitment.
Should I be worried?
Right place, right time. Just, yeah, sorry, busy that weekend. Well, a gun round now for Illuminar. No AWP on snacks, but full utility sets once again for Illuminar. We haven't seen too much substance. We haven't seen a deep strap book really from Illuminar. It has been fairly chopped and changed basic stuff to overwhelm KOVA and just utilizing their aim and that sort of experience over those players on KOVA, but will that work for too much longer? Nice sets of flashes outside, but they don't clear out Yuli, and a double kill found from the garage.
It's such a common spot now, but it's so strong, and Twixy is there to follow up. He knows that if there's a double mini push, there has to be one from Squeaky, and he's ready for it, but PHR has to try and clutch it out, but he can't do it. Mouse now left alone, and alone he will die. KOVA are up to 14, and on the verge of map point, as Illuminar will not have money to buy. Again, I have to ask, where are the outside takes? Where are the OG smokes? Where is the variation from Illuminar?
Yeah, the depth just doesn't seem to be there for Illuminar, and that one round where they collapsed on that A site on saved weapons of KOVA and a few pistols, that's really where this started to turn around, because we were singing Illuminar's praises. They were doing a great job of just being overly aggressive, but that comes back to bite them. Live and die by the sword.
Well, it looks like they might be living by the Tech 9 for now. Snacks finds Piatola. Very important kill to get as it opens up the bomb site entirely and gives him an M4. Wouldn't mind seeing that in the hands of Mouse instead, to be perfectly honest, but If he can make it work, well, who am I to blame? But even so, Riyad's great way to get back inside decontamination. He's waiting for them to come in. PHR's distracted for long enough that he can get closer. PHR's not even distracting. He's killing. He's killing.
They're all dead.
We'll get a deagle, happy deagle ace one day, Michael. Don't worry.
I mean, we kind of got there. Julie had to ruin it before by picking up an AK, but gets pretty close.
Had a major look at it.
I mean, this is so sad. So sad for KOVA because they were in a great position to start to shut things out. Now Illuminar bounced back. They've got an economy buffer now built up for a follow-up round. So even if KOVA gets to 15, Illuminar can pressure immediately after. PHR. Most of the smoke's outside. This is such a dangerous play to make. Around the other corner, there's a KOVA player, and he's in prime position. Yuli, first kill, found the wide swing from Reeds for the trade, so it doesn't go as wrong as it could have been. It seemed like Yuli was lining them up. And Illuminar, they're really playing around these smokes. This is so... it's tickling the anxiety.
Tickling all the wrong spots, but the question has kind of hit all the right ones. As they're moving in, there's still a player in the back lines. I can't tell if it's in secret or in garage. That's the big question. Riyadh, though, he's waiting. He's all revealing himself. This could be massive. If Pico's distracted by a mini push from PHR, it would be huge. Mouse could maybe overwhelm them from heaven instead. But what is the plan? They've got to pull the trigger. Snacks is waiting for a move to be made by the CTs. They're expecting aggression, and they might just get it. PHR sees. PHR can't get the kill. Damage is dealt, but 1 HP is what separates. And now there goes Riyadh's flashbang forward as well. It'll be giving them a chance, but Twixie again. Good for 1, but Mouse picks up for 2. 3 versus 2. 14th on the line, and the CTs are making their way over. Nade to do good damage, but not enough. Spargo will fall, and now it's just Piatola. 1 man against the world, and the world might be a burden he's not ready to carry. 14 for Illuminar. And that'll be it. KOVA, economy rattled, nerves very much down in the dumpsters, and questions to be asked. What do they do? One change of setup, Michael. One change of setup. That's all we've seen on outside, and that is a beautiful amount of success that they got off of it.
And you're absolutely right. KOVA, what is the path you take? Do you buy in this round? Do you try for it? Or do you move for an overtime instead? We've already seen one today. Such a difficult position to be in. I think they're going... Yeah, okay. They're going the more conservative route, keeping and hovering around 2 and 3k respectively. The chance is always there, given that this is the buy. We've seen it happen a couple times, this map in particular. But then KOVA will have a substantial buy in the follow-up. Yuli, very advanced position towards top side of Secret, seeing if Illuminar will go for a faster play outside, but Snacks, oh no, he's lining them up from the mini, and they're just not prepared. They weren't expecting him to be there so rapidly, but ooh, Spargo, kill with the Deagle. Yuli as well chimes in with the MP9, and he's upgraded. AK recovered.
Riyadh is in a very pivotal position again. It's a 3v4. It's a 2v4, not like this. Illuminar. How many times will we see them falter in the face of what should be an easy round? Now there's 2 AKs, and both of them are deadly. Picked up by players who have Kevlar as well. Sure, there's a smoke and a Molotov, but what use is that going to be? PHR needs kills. Will be peeking out soon. Sees a player midair, but it's Spargo in the back lines again with the Deagle. These Reeds alone. 1 versus 4, and they're checking the door. They're going to have it open soon. But Riyadh, what a play! He's got 2, and maybe he's a savior after all, but he can't get the diffuser. It's locked away from him. He can't get it in time. Uli finishes it off, and no kit, no investment, no money, nothing. Nothing but their wits and their will, and KOVA will force a 15th.
Oh my days. Just how many lifelines How many times are both of these teams going to fall to pistols, no less?
I feel like Illuminar has done it a lot more than KOVA has, in all fairness.
I almost think they're equal, which I think is maybe the worst part.
Oh, God.
Oh, but it has left for a bit of an exciting game. You don't know which way these rounds are going to turn. You run the calculations in their head, like, yeah, 1 + 1, 2, yeah. No, 5. That's the answer, the real solution. Okay, Illuminar, can you bring us to overtime? You were in the driver's seat for the second half. You had it for the first half as well, but KOVA have answered back with some pretty crucial rounds. And now they're pretty adequately equipped on both sides. They may even look for a little bit more aggression. KOVA, after they get that a bit of momentum under them, Piatola a bit more of an advanced position towards ramp. Illuminar, they're set up in a much more default position, actually setting up for a bit of a play towards this A bomb sites. The fast flank, that is always a threat.
Molotov goes out for now, but Spargo's ready and waiting. Spargo can't get the first, but he'll get the second, and with that, KOVA have found the absolute advantage. Spargo will need more, but PHR, what a shot from him. Spargo also been forced back as he tag snacks through a wall, and it's a 3v4 with a minute left, so the T's aren't out of it, but they are definitely on their way. Question is, can Illuminar crash land this plane down into water and bring them to overtime? We'll have to wait to find out. 48 seconds. And what looked to be a decent timer now looks like a scary one. KOVA. Utility is dry. And the question is, do they have it in their tanks? Veggie moves forward. Snacks as well, clearing out everything he can. The low player going first, checking off these boxes. He'll go down. Veggie will trade. PHR now from heaven. Waits for the peak to come forward. PHR really wants there to be a mistake made by the CT side as the smoke has come through to Mini. He doesn't want them to push in from behind, but Veggie spotted a player in HUD. Veggie, so careful, knows that there could be an opera coming out from vents. That's the only way Spargo gets back if he's not coming from hell, and Veggie saw a player coming out of Mini. Now, PHR takes a duel, but he's been tagged up heavily. It's all Veggie all day. He's got some assistance just for a distraction, gets one, but it's sloppy, but he still makes it work. Picks up the other AK so he doesn't have to reload. Now, with that smoke, he's able to push out the Molotov, force out the flashbang. They're not going for the defuse just quite yet. Veggie needs to peek, needs to make this play. He'll get it done overtime for Illuminar. And somehow they get it as close as can be. We've got to go to a break, but don't go anywhere. This is a banger of a game.
Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is if you get back up when you fall. You gotta get up. Failure happens to us all, but this is how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is when you get back up when you fall. You better get up. You gotta get up. You gotta get up. I need you to get up. Get up. You witnessing a champ in the making, fueled by your passion for greatness. Yeah, but adversity and bad situations meet us in the middle of the paths that we taking. But it's what you do after that makes men. Will you quit or will you stand up and face it? Tell me, do you have what it takes to swing back when this life asks for the fade? Can you tell me you'll adapt to the change when a punch lands and it puts you flat on your face? After you wake, will you stand up and say, get mad, hit back, lit match to the flames? Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is if you get back up when you fall. You gotta get up. Failure happens to us all, but this is how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is when you get back up when you fall. You gotta get up. You gotta get up. You gotta get up. I need you to get up. Get up.
And in we go to overtime. One thing that Michael is very happy about is it's 16K, so we don't have to see any more of these anti-ecos.
Oh yes, these have not been the prettiest sight for either team. But Illuminar, actually, in the overtime, deeper wall of smokes once again. The same ones that allowed them to actually see a better success outside, actually applied more pressure there for KOVA, but this time they moved towards the lower site. Previously they'd wrapped towards A. KOVA, will they suitably respond? There hasn't seemed to be too much movement. Obviously understanding that the possibility is there. Spargo in position with the AWP, the Molotov forcing him back and actually losing the sightline. PHR able to circumnavigate. Spargo forced back as a result. KOVA losing more and more ground. Spargo trying so desperately, but Reed spamming in through the smoke. An entry found.
And that's a huge one as well. At Spargo, the raid boss, Piatola now has to step up and put on the demon wings. The question is, does he know how to fly with them? There's 45 seconds on the clock, and KOVA have rotated some players back, but an A side is still very much possible. Piku to fall up next. Mouse is selling the uncertainty even more, but as Piatola will fall on lower, it seems like a hit is inevitable. Twixie can't decide whether to rotate or not, and as he comes down, he's so careful, but by the time he's come through, turns out all that tiptoeing is for naught, as he's already lost all of his allies.
Well, one kill found. There's two players low here for Illuminar, so still need to be careful about how they approach this one. The smoke as well on the side makes things easier for Twixie. Okay, another kill found. But sitting inside of the smoke. Oh, caught on the reload as well.
Yeah.
Snack will see that as an opportunity to swing out wide. A 16th in the first round of the overtime, taken for Illuminar.
Yeah, he flashed himself there as well. Not the prettiest of ways to start off a 1v5. But even so, probably not the reason why he lost it.
Sometimes you can stumble into a finish.
It's true. It's true. You start off, sometimes you're a late bloomer. I've been told that for myself. I'm still waiting for it to come true. Now, Illuminar, up to 16. They'd have liked to be here slightly earlier, but they're happy with the outcome regardless. Uli has been tagged early along with Spargo, and this time the double ramp setup might actually be a little bit off the read, because Snacks and company are on outside, and PHR gets a second. With that, you're in a 5v3, and Illuminar are making overtime look a little bit easier than we thought.
Yeah, that's a really scrimmy sort of pug play there from PHR. Just so many smokes thrown over towards outside. There's a gap that PHR adapts to rather well. KOVA getting caught asleep at the wheel almost. Spargo losing the duel with the AWP as well. And how do you react to this? Because when you're behind like this is a CT side, it can feel like you have to push forward just to make your rotations a little bit more informed. but it's just stagnant. KOVA sitting on the sides, holding true to the crossfires on A. And if Illuminar walk into this is certainly the capacity for things to go very, very right for the Finns, but they can hear the steps being made. There's jump spotting on the bomb site, so they should understand that this is something that has been planned out here for KOVA.
25 seconds, and this could be
Oh
very
my
dangerous.
god.
Taking too long, but he's thrown the nade. Piatola's lined him up, but actually Twixie right behind him is the one to get the kills. Now back to a 2v2. Time against him, but Snacks is with them. He gets the important one, and a nade will put Twixie down to 1 HP. He's in position. Can they get the kill? Yes, they can. Snacks with a no-scope. Takes it away, and as lackluster as he was in regulation, it seems like that's how good he'll be in overtime.
If Snacks didn't get that kill, that round is lost.
Yeah, pretty dicey there.
Oh my god. How does that happen? Piatola wasn't even prepared for a door swing. He's throwing a nade in the vent thinking, oh yeah, they're just waiting for us at the bottom of this. And instead, he just gets a surprise that turns into KOVA's favor. It's like they flipped a coin and landed on a lottery ticket.
In all fairness, I think Twixie was covering the door because of that very reason. But yeah, Veggie gets an early kill. Uli goes down, and now it's all about PHR. As he's gotten a lot of ground, and there's no one to actually contest him nearby, directly at least. Sparko, what is that? Shot through the wall? And it should be a follow-up Piatola to equalize in the strangest of manners. But Snacks is still ready. He's going for old-fashioned, no fancy, no scope wallbangs through a roof. PHR. Can't finish off the kill, but the snap. Okay, never mind. I lied. That is a fancy wallbang right there. Fargo gets a taste of his own medicine, but Piku is a doctor. Unfortunately, he didn't quite heed his own advice, and Twixie's left on 2 HP once again. Dancing with death, Twixie has not come out on top too many times, but maybe this time he can finally learn the steps of tango.
This would have to be masterfully played here for Twixie to come out on top of this one. Last time, dealt with by Snacks. But Twixie, the reposition is strong. Last seen towards the A side. Oh, he's read this well. Snacks knife out, going towards B and cut off Twixie. Easy kill on the first. And PHR, he's going to be hard pressed for this. Yeah, time is of the essence. 10 seconds, he has to go. And Twixie, you got to run.
Dude, this is crazy.
Oh my
Are you kidding
goodness.
me?
This is so...
Michael, you know what? I figured it out. Illuminar didn't want to make you feel bad that, hey, there's no more anti-ecos for us to lose. How about we just give up some general advantages?
My head hurts, man. My head hurts. We're seeing floor bangs. Deep wall bangs from Snacks on the AWP. Some last minute bomb drops on 1 and 2 HP respectively.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
How does this keep happening?
It's a strange time we're living in, but it's one we've got to embrace, I suppose. When in Rome, lose anti-ecos and 5v3s. You know, that's what the saying is.
Ah.
That's probably why the Roman Empire died.
She knew I should have paid more attention to history.
Yeah. Yeah. But the question is about the future, as the future projects Snacks getting a few kills, gets one, waits for more, will tag, but not frag. Piku with the AK, able to get the kill as he bumped his head off the roof to get a movement speed buff and save his own life. That's the best mage I've seen in a while. Mouse, he's waiting for a peek to come through. Let's the play go by. Mouse has got one, but not two. Piku still ready to intercept and take him down. Now, 3v3. KOVA's in a good spot, but Piku needs to get a kill. He did get information of where they're coming from, but I think they must have seen his head as well. But as he peeks, it's PHR to bring him and the bomb down. Twixie and Uli in a 2v3. Time at least is there, but is there aim? Twixie needs to move forward. Uli's being harassed. Uli's being found out. And Twixie has to get a kill. But a nade in his hand is not what he needs. Twixie, not right now. Not like this. Uli will fall. And I can't say that I have many hopes for Twixie not to. He gets one. Sure. But 25 seconds. And he's been brought down.
Twixie has been put in some really dicey clutch positions here for KOVA. And just a few too many falling away. Illuminar now on the precipice of getting us out of overtime and into overpass. Illuminar setting up for that. KOVA, they need to find some level of consistency. It's been some time since they've been on this T side where Illuminar had those 8 rounds in a row. Made things all the more difficult. KOVA, can they remember what it was like at the latter end of the half? Is it even similar? Because Illuminar made changes, but okay, Twixie through the smoke. That's a great way to start.
In all fairness, Twixie's done that a few times, and he's really good at getting a read of where these players are. Generally, he uses a Molotov to force them out, but this time he just goes straight for it and makes it work. What a read from Twixie. Now, the CTs have got Riats on the inside of the garage wall, but it doesn't look like he should find too many targets to play around with. Twixie and company backing off. Veggie as well has been boosted up back to the rafters for him to retreat back and assist in outside control with Riats. Piku, however, given this much space, that is dangerous. Piku will be able to get inside that B bomb site as Snacks is using his utility up on the A site. Michael, this is getting very dangerous for KOVA as the clock is ticking down and CTs are getting more and more in their faces. Ramp at least has been left relatively unlocked and the CTs are not contesting it. Piku watching for any sort of aggression to come in and he'll be the one to lead the charge forward. 25 seconds and in they go. The off first is not a good idea. Mouse gets that kill. Piku will fall. Spargo still leading the charge and he gets one. Mouse is the trade that comes through, but can they get the bomb plant at the end of the day? Snacks will be looking to get one, but Veggie has used that as a distraction to get a kill of his own, but Spargo's still too good. Riats comes in from the side, brings down one, and it's Twixie to fight. It's Twixie to look, and Snacks to try and recover. Oh, what a shot from Snacks! 1 versus 1. Uli is all that's left between him and Glory, but Uli is too much. These rounds cannot get closer.
Time low on the B bomb site. Snacks in a position where he could potentially cut them off, get smoked off. The Molotov a little bit delayed. These finer margins seem to be making such a world of a difference. And that's off of KOVA starting out with a man advantage. One that maybe they don't deserve each and every time because it just came via the spam. I like the little change here from KOVA. They get a little bit more outside control. It's a little bit more of a sneaky position. Illuminar been pretty dominant on these CT side rounds to actually shut out the outside presence. So maybe that's something that could go right for KOVA moving forward. Illuminar, do they still have that in the back of their mind? KOVA haven't particularly been focused in that particular position. It's such a default round. Mouse striking first though.
He strikes first, but this is where that advantage where you talked about is not found. Illuminar's brought it to a 5v3, and that's dangerous territory because Twixie is going to be the trade. Now Riyad's still fighting back, and this should be it. Viatola, not even he should be able to make this work, but he's got to, and maybe I'm going to bite my tongue and my words, but they're biting his head. 19-17, Illuminar take away map 1, and in a very difficult journey, they'll be headed to overpass.
Oh my goodness. Back and forth, anti-ecos, clutches, time running low. What is going on? It was a fun one, at the very least, but didn't really follow the conventions we would typically associate with this one. I mean, we kind of talked about it before. Which side do we lean on for this game? It did leave a bit of uncertainty. I think you started to push more towards one side. I never got off the fence, and I still don't know which way to go. The thing only makes the following maps that much more exciting. It's Overpass as our second map that can only mean good things.
Well, listen, while we wait for our position on the fence to be finalized, we're going to have to go to a short break to get our thoughts in order. But when we're back, it'll be Overpass, and we'll be looking to see whether or not KOVA can continue their DreamHack journey.